I actually went to her prom. We real good friends. She invited me out to an open mic that was happening, and she just was gonna be there, and she just told me to come. She knew I was into the comedy or whatever, so she invited me. So I went. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna get on the mic. So Jay Bell, comic Jay Bell, and comic Jay Will. Jay Bell was hosting, and Jay Will was headlining. And it was an open mic also. It was at a dispensary, and so I knew of Jay Will. It's the first time seeing him in person, and the first time like hearing his set as well. So I heard how funny he is. I knew he was on the radio, all this. I'm like, okay. So we open mic is going. My name doesn't get called, and then they call Jay Will up. Jay Will does. I don't know how much time he did, but he did his thing, and I was like, oh, this guy is funny. Like, so I'm thinking it was up for me. Like, all right, it's a wrap. I'm cool. I wasn't tripping. You know what I'm saying? I still had a good time. So right after Jay Will, they called me up, and I was like, what? Like, okay. So I went up, and I fearlessly went up, even though it was a lot to handle to follow Jay Will. Like when that's my like third or fourth time on stage, I just did it anyway. So I'm going through my material, and they have this thing where they shake your keys if they don't like what you're doing. They shook their keys on me, got me up out of there. I still felt good in myself. Jay Will pulled me to the side. He started pouring into me. Jay Bell started pouring into me, and I still didn't take it serious yet. You know what I'm saying? I knew I had something there, but I still didn't take it serious. It wasn't until last year, 2021, I got with Mike Larry. And Mike Larry actually performed at Bradford Academy's senior pinning. Yeah. And so that was like low-key one of my first experience of live comedy, not even knowing. So now, fast forward, we did a play. Shout out to Joe Smith at Great Faith. He produced the play through Great Faith, and Mike Larry was the lead role. And I went to Great Faith, and he opened it up for us to audition. And me being the actual seasoned actor, I got casted. And so now I was working with Mike Larry close. So I was telling him about the comedy. He was like, man, get with me. I'll help you with your set. I'm like, all right, bet. So that was like 2018 or something like that. Fast forward 2 years later, 2-3 years later, 2021, I got back into it with my dog Jake. My dog Jake was hitting mics after the pandemic started opening back up. And I'm like, man, I got to get some of this. I finally went out to 90s, had my first time back, and I ain't looked back since. That was like the end of July. I got back on the stage. Then I took Mike Larry class, and it's been booming ever since that. You know what I'm saying? Ever since I hooked up with Mike, man, he really has shown me a lot. He taught me a lot. He continues to show me a lot. You feel me? And even having that, he had the class, and after we graduated the class, we had a weekly spot to work out the material each week. And that's what got me sharp, you know what I'm saying? Then I started hitting other mics outside of that mic that we had. And I just started getting better and better and better. And it's just continuing to grow. And so now, even though I got into acting first, comedy is number one now. Like, I love the game. I love it. It's so freeing. It allows me to be myself. You know, it's however much time I'm on stage, it's me, that mic, and the people. And I'm just being me. I'm sharing myself with the world, sharing my gift with the world. And I thank God for that, like, because I was scared. And if I look back to the time that I stopped, I had the wrong perspective, I had the wrong mindset. Instead of, all I was taking was the bad. When you got to look at the good and build on that. You know what I'm saying? There's always going to be bad that's going to happen. But you got to look at the good. You have to look at the good, build on that, expand on that, dominate on that. You know what I'm saying? The bad is going to be there, but you're going to keep improving if you don't stop. But if you stop, then everything stops. And the whole thing is slowed down. And what God wants to do in your life is going to require something that's bigger than you. It's a power that's bigger than you. And in order to walk in that, you got to walk through it fearlessly. And that's not to say, okay, now I'll take that back. It's not going to be fearless. You got to feel that fear and do it anyway, because God didn't give you that spirit of fear. But you're going to see it. You might even feel it. But you got to know it's not yours. You got to lay that fear down and go forward with strength and courage. And so now, man, as I continue to grow, as I continue to build my confidence on stage, man, things have been opening up. Like, literally, like, I've had a lot of great opportunities. I performed in LA at the Comedy Chateau. Went out there, shout out to my best friend Kreisha, went out there to visit her. I hit up my girl D-Lo, shout out to her. She hit me with some spots when I was in LA. Like, yo, you get these spots. I asked her. So they had a audition when I was down there. I'm like, I'm not thinking, oh, got the audition. They booked me for the LA, and now I got my own spot that I host every week. Comedy Hills at 9 p.m. Doors open, $10 entry. Man, it's just up. Like I'm hosting every week. I'm booking comics. Like my first headliner I booked was Mike Larry. I had to do that. You feel me? The second one, Jay Will. Like now I'm able to give back to these vets and OGs that poured into me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's way bigger than me. I couldn't have put any of these plays together. Even the guy that threw me the oop to know the lady that owns the bar that was trying to have a comedy spot, like Dickie. Man, it's like there's so many people, so many other factors that helped me, propel me to this point. And it all started with God because God orchestrated and lined everything up, even when I couldn't see it. So all I had to do was continue to step forward, and he's continuing to lay the path out for me, and I can't fight it. So now we got Comedy Hills, and the whole idea behind Comedy Hills is comedy heals you and also heals. So let the ladies put their heels on. It's more of a grown vibe in there. We still gonna have fun. It's gonna be a little ignorant too. Don't trip. But and you ain't gotta dress up. But that's like the more of the vibe I'm going for. And the first thing being the healing though, because laughter is good for the soul. You know what I'm saying? And you get that good laugh in, man. You really be forgetting about your troubles, man. So God has given me that gift of laughter.